Okay, I'm gonna have to try and get this in a little bit quick because of storage. I'm gonna have to like do this later, but I'm gonna try and get this in real quick about County Road 45, Angleton, Texas. A row combine of county and federal, more so on the inside. That way, a symmetrical and asymmetrical design of one man. The executive suite. Yeah. In any case, so like the that being like County Road 45, and the thing about the NASA Road 1 and Interstate 45, and like County Road 45, like would be like the misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi and the International Superstar International Space Station, and the supplemental security thing about the ISS and SSI, and between like County Road 45 and Interstate 45, the Gulf Freeway, and Highway 35 in Pearland, all the way to like Austin being the state capital of like Interstate 35 and Highway 35 in Pearland. The thing with this is that it presents that scale of international superstar and international Secret Service and International Space Station and supplemental security income and superstar intelligence. Yeah, the ISS and SSI. That way of like geographics and scale. Likewise, in addition, the thing with this, I'm going to try and get this in before I run out of any storage space and have to do it again. But I won't get this in because the shelf on the wall is like a telepathic blueprint. I mean, the wall is like only beige, okay? But I'm looking at the shelf and automatically it has like two triangles, okay? It's like the electronic schematic symbol of the delta being the triangle and the pi r squared factor applied to it being a 6-point star. The alphanumeric is 138 and the telepathic angel. The thing is that it presents that like with a plateau on the shelf. And the thing about it is a plane horizon, presenting a plane horizon that would represent a plateau. Likewise, in addition, the two triangles representing the misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi and the power squared factor, and ultimately it gets to the E equal MC squared and exponential quotients of powers of multiplication in alphanumerics and linguistics. And placement and pronunciation, more so a principle, and alphanumerics and linguistics, and beyond, the thought of like the executive classroom. Okay, the thing with this is that that factor of like the eccentric. There's like 5 eccentric triangles that originate from a point of view the exact opposite side of the wall, and it began with like 2 vertical lines, like the absolute values. They go through like algebra and calculus on into quantum, and the different design E that gets into the structure beyond calculus that calculus does not have, but quantum does, of the structure. And the 2 Japanese, if I'm not mistaken, it seemed to be the exact 2 alphabetical, what's identified as 22 letters of the Japanese alphabet, but 2 of them being the structure of quantum. And it seemed to be the thing about the different design E in that way, and like Japanese being 71 Pearland, possibly the cryptocurrency or the embedded encryption that would give the thing about the relation about the McDonald's golden arches being a degree level of reputable standards of consensual participation as compared to the pronunciation of the letter N, predominantly of like Spanish and like language, and something about in my mind like Univision and the B in venue in like Geneva, Switzerland. A linguistic thing of duration that seemed to be intellectual of the rectangle of like international financial management and Lincoln Continental, presenting the thought of the 90 degree of a rectangle of like the Lincoln Continental hood ornament, representing international financial management. Likewise, in addition, vantage low 30 of the rectangles on the tennis court, and a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, the 5 eccentric triangles present the LockHeed Martin of the 3 lines that intersect at 3 different points. There are 4 lines. They're like 2 arrows, but there's only 3 intersecting points and 3 lines being used, which is the principle of like the intersecting axis of Audi. Likewise, in addition, the 5th dimension having a song up in the air in a beautiful balloon. What's on the wall is like a telepathic blueprint with a head east point of view. The above and beyond of the Arctic Circle is like a known fact, between like the Soviet Union, Russia, Prussia, and what all that is in province as compared to the impedance and ambience on the 13-band graphic equalizer, and the 13 stars above and equal, representative of the 13 being like the alphanumerics in 99 and telepathic and all that stuff about the 13 stars above and equal, and alphanumerics in 99 that way, and think about Chevy Chase and the name ultimately, Chevrolet and Chevrolet Silverado, the alphanumerics are 213. Likewise, the area code of Los Angeles and LA being like linguistic alphanumerics and all that stuff. But anyway, so like the eccentric triangles present the fifth dimension up in the air, the beautiful balloon and Orion performance monitoring, and the hot air balloons presenting the colors, ultimately getting to the thing about, the mandatory requirements of a rainbow based upon a hot air balloon, based upon the altitude of an altimeter, a barometric altimeter, condensing residuals presenting the evaporation and condensation based upon, the altitude and temperature, the mandatory requirements of a rainbow, okay? And it's like the Orion performance monitor thing about, the colors of the hot air balloon. The thing with this is that it presents up in the air the beautiful balloon like a fifth dimension song, okay? And it ultimately got to, the thing of on the wall being like a telepathic blueprint using the paper-made pen, the two hearts. And not necessarily the Bermuda Triangle, but, there's like three lines that intersect at one point. And there's like three separate lines that only have two lines that intersect using three lines. One line is on each different intersecting, and one line is only used for both intersects of the three lines, and then one line is just like, separate and individual within itself. So there's like three and three about the thing about it, and the intersecting axis of Audi, and the thing about the LockHeed Martin having the three intersects. And I want to include that because it seemed to be the thing about the up in the air, the beautiful balloon, and the thing a bit above and beyond about what the Arctic Circle is between the Soviet Union and Russia and Prussia, and all the information like between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, identifying the pastel green that way, and the triangle between like thing about Egypt being 73, Harris being 73, and the Israeli being 73, and pastel being 73. And it presents like the conversion between analog to digital of like the history of the television screen and monochrome, and going beyond, monochrome into the thought of like Technicolor being the pastel. Likewise with like metallic paint and the birth certificate using the black. And the Permian Basin, and about the deal about the Permian Basin, like in Fort Stockton, Texas, and the alphanumerics of James Bond unit being 200, and the highest possible score on an IQ test of a Mercedes-Benz presenting the Smart for 2 smart car, and Lexus LFSA being the Smart for 2. Likewise, like Saturn Sky being a smaller version of the Corvette, and the Scion IQ being the highest possible score on an IQ test being 200, and the James Bond unit, and the pronunciation of Zion and Zion, 1,000 Years of Peace in Grover, Cleveland, representing some idea of like a Ten Commandments, yet in a sense of the plateau, yet the Mount Olives issue of the plateau, the word transfiguration, alphanumerics 192, in the Book of Thessalonians, re-entering, heaven about that. And the thing with this is that I want to include that because thing with this is that there's also like three circles that would at a head east point of view, it seemed to be like the calibrated thing about the UFO thing about the unidentified thing about the impression that would normally be thought of in the field. There's three circles that present a direction at a head east point of view, looking at it standing vertically to a northwest direction with the circles, although they intersect present the southeast. And the Houston area that presents like Galveston County being the alphanumerics of 213, and Chevrolet Silverado's E71 and Pearland. The thing with this is that with the due west with a point of origin as a head east would be the above and beyond of the Arctic Circle like it would normally be anyway. Yet the northern lights present the pastels and the colors of a rainbow likewise in addition. And the thing about the identical twin rainbow in Fort Stockton, Texas, and it seemed to be like the one of an entire lifetime. And that movie Best Defense presenting the laser, and it seemed to be the thing about the that browser called Safari, and it has the connectivity of like Jeffrey the giraffe. The thing with it is that the Toys R Us thing about Jeff and Jeffrey, and the one coupon that seems to be the thing about a current resident presenting the International Electronic Engineering, likewise International Banking, and like Faces International and Telepathic Face as coupon like God's Angel, okay, and she is like very much the perfect 10-10 of like picture is a picture. And the thing is that color coded, with the white hair and think about the blue eyes. In any case, so like Jermaine Jackson presents something in my mind, along with like Michael Jackson with The Wall as the wall, and LASIK laser corrective eye surgery, and a bunch of alphanumerics of the pronunciation of LASIK being 6 in LA and 6 in the VPN of Vice President or in Immigration Custom Enforcement of like Plain Horizons, representing international banking systems in a way of that seem to be the deal of like importing and exporting, difference between power and principality in that sense and manner. And in each case, it presents the importing and exporting of Plain Horizons as compared to what would be like a pie chart. Although the percentile, it presents the percents of Plain Horizons as compared to a pie chart. And the thing with it is that the Plain Horizon normally presents some idea of like the plateau or a Plain Horizon as like a barometric altimeter, presenting what seems to be like horizontal in G-force in like aeronautics and in aviation. It presents the equilibrium, what seemed to be balanced as a norm of the G-force is what it's called, okay? And it presents what equilibrium senses as what balance means in G-force, yeah. So like in any case, so like it presents the Plain Horizon in a perspective that way. In any case, so like the thing about Jermaine Jackson in my mind and like Michael Jackson being off the wall, it seems to be the thing about the graphite, and Mobile One presenting the graphite at the wind unit in Huntsville on the floor, a representative like of the birth certificate. Yet it presents the metallic particles of graphite going beyond toner and biometrics into the light scribe of a bunch of white stuff and invisible programming, and what it really means and that way and matter. But Jermaine Jackson somehow in my mind presents the Galleria, something of the Galleria in that area, which is real close during its time, with like Capital One and Chase, like right there on Westheimer. And ultimately, not at the same time, but 3D International was like there, okay? And think about Univision, the 3 pastels in the black in the beginning and the 3 pastels in white. And think about Lexus LFSA presenting the interior of the vehicle of the 2015 Geneva, Switzerland summit meetings. And like Mercedes presenting the Smart for 2 smart car. And ultimately, like I mentioned, Saturn Sky presents the thing about the rainbow, and my thing about the protractor representative of like 180 degrees and identical twin rainbow, and the principle of the the laser and the way of automation and what font size is that way. A rainbow, I mean, it's like the perfect identical twin, the one of an entire lifetime. I mean, undoubtedly, like the one at the James Hall unit, and the exact opposite is like the plateau. Like now it seems to be the past the color sign 900s, and what the 900 number is to international. Normally the word relation between architecture and platform, and the thing about McDonald's Golden Arches that way of degree level representatives of concentric participation, and the thing about the one waveform, 1 cycle per second above the N, and the scripture, and that thing about Clyde, and Clyde say yeah yeah yeah, and so and there you saw Fatima laying on his zebra skin robe thing with a ring on her finger and a bell and toes and a bow on her nose thing about the song presenting Clyde as a camel, and the desert being like that in 7-1 in Pearland. Yet at the same time, the Clydesdale of like Anheuser-Busch, and some factors between like Rock Me Amadeus and a rectangle of like the hood ornament at Lincoln Continental at a 90-degree, presenting the pi squared factor of like the Israeli flag. What would normally be parameters in customizing waveform, normally set in increments, and I have to actually really get into what's all involved, like the 24, 48, 72, and 96 increments involving attenuation, digital processing speed, signal processing. But those are the 4 increments: 24, 48, 72, and 96. And the thing about COVID-ID 19, where that's at in placement, like why one pronoun of the 4 types of pronouns cannot be used as a subject. So I mean, those increments involving like a vertical a horizontal parameter customizing waveform as post-production and editing. The quantum presents the vertical live transparent, what would be identified visibly as parameters, and vertically it's like transparent, but it's obviously detectable and noticeable when signal processing, and a 90-degree superimposium included with seem to be the perpendicular spiral, an orbital digital display of like a quantum. And at first I didn't, it's the one and only time I saw it at Commandos. Okay, and it's vertical and it's like quantum and live, and it's not a question of post-production or editing like at all. If anything, if it's going to be live, any kind of editing, I don't know if I'd use the word editing like really at all. I mean, if it's only getting to the thought of like legal media and deposition in a way of like only what auditing would mean live, like the difference between mote, and mute, and like soap operas like being something about career colleges on major universities and practicing law on campus likewise, and this on side as like some idea of like legal media use and television like involving like soap operas that participate that way. In any case, so like so like it seemed to be a deal about the moot being MOOT of like career degree students practicing law in that way. It seemed to be ultimately getting to the thought of like some idea of like duration, not necessarily a question of like maybe EA Sports and YouTube, and that seemed to be like not some idea somewhere in between like Wells Fargo Clear Access Banking and Regions prepaid now card. It presents the insights and the Quicken books, and it presents the issue separate from the American Express Bluebird card that is a 15-digit number. Not a question of like the alphanumerics of like the 15th letter in face value with 15 digits, and in that way it presents the four like an MP4 format of video on the front side of the security, and the MP3 like a audio with a 3-digit security code on back. I mean it presents both of them that way of like MP4 with a 4-digit security code on front and a 3-digit security code on back, like MP3 format of the Bluebird card. Yet it ultimately gets to the thing about the Bluebird bus and circuit as compared to the Airbus. That seemed to be the thing about it. So like there it is. I'm having to I'm having to like do a real quick. I'm running limited on my storage, but I wanted to include that because Jermaine Jackson has something in my mind of pronunciation of the thing about the Harris in a way of and think about the